The Bulls found out yesterday that they lost Zach LaVine for the remainder of the season due to him having a pending foot surgery. The Bulls also got their asses kicked by the Sacramento Kings, in which they did show a lot of heart down the stretch of that game in the second half. I'm going to break that down as well as dive into the mailbag. All that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And the Bulls lost to the Sacramento Kings, and it was a loss where the game definitely started off ugly for the Chicago Bulls. The Sacramento Kings were up, I believe, by 19 in the first half. They got that lead up to as much as almost 30 at one point in time. At the start of that third quarter is where things started to turn for the Bulls. After an initial run by the Sacramento Kings, the Bulls started marching back, and they started playing great defense. That defense was leading a really good offense, an easy offense, and the Bulls really got that lead down, I think, as low as 1 point to 2, I believe. Maybe it was 4. But then the Bulls just did not have enough down the stretch, and when you have to expound that much energy to bring a lead down like that, it kind of makes sense. And that's not to throw the Bulls any bail. How the Bulls played with a more consistent brand of defense throughout most of that game, then the Bulls would have been in the game closer and probably even had a chance to win. This still was a game that they did have a chance to win, but some mistakes down the stretch, fouls from Alex Caruso, turnovers, which really hurt the Bulls overall in this game. It just put the Bulls at a deficit against a team in the Sacramento Kings that I said on yesterday's pre-recorded video that if you let the Kings go on a run and that goes completely unanswered, that could be what completely gets you out of the game. And while that didn't happen per se in this game, the Kings did, they were able to match every run that the Chicago Bulls went on. The Bulls went on like a 10-2 run, a 10-4 run. The Kings would go on another one, but the Bulls did chip away considerably at that lead. And like I said, I got to give the Bulls credit for how they competed down the stretch of this game because, listen, it would have been, and this Bulls team has done this before, at times where a team goes out on a big run to start the third quarter, and the Bulls just are out of that game completely at that point. It happened in this game where the Kings went on another run to go in the quarter to push the lead even more, but this Bulls team really did battle back. And when you look at the way that the stats ended up in the night, Coby White with 26 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He made 4 three-pointers, but he had 12 points in the fourth quarter of this game. And, in the fourth quarter, he got the majority of the shots. Now, DeMar DeRozan was right behind him, getting only 2 less shots than Coby White in the fourth quarter of this game. But at the end of the day, like, Coby still just balled out, man. And it was good to see Billy Donovan go to Coby, ride the hot hand. There are definitely some questions that, Bulls fans had after the game of, there were like 3 possessions in a row that went through DeMar DeRozan. Bulls fans want to see, rightfully so, the ball in Coby White's hands. I do think there are some basketball reasons for that of trying to, run Coby off ball and get him some screen motions coming down off screens, things like that to hopefully maybe get a wide open 3-point shot. But the execution wasn't really there, and it led to the Bulls, getting lost. And I don't want to take anything away from the Kings, right? I do not want to paint it as if this is a game that the Bulls lost instead of the Kings won. No, the Kings are one of the best teams in the NBA. And last year, they had a generational offense per efficiency numbers, and they're still pretty damn good offensively now. They have their defensive woes, things like that, which you didn't necessarily take advantage of the full game. But I tell you what, De'Aaron Fox, 41 points in this game, and he played some absolute great defense down the stretch of the game, forcing the turnovers, things like that, getting the ball out of players' hands. Really good. Domantas Sabonis also with a triple-double in this game, 13 points. 14 rebounds, 10 assists, so shout out to Domantas Sabonis on that one. And this Kings team just got production in the right places. They had production off the bench with Trey Lyles with 16 points as well. And Keegan Murray, only 5 points. We played some solid defense on him. But listen, this Kings team played really well. Their offense that they do, how they move the ball around. In the first half of the game, they had like 24 assists on 28 made baskets. It was only 4 baskets that weren't assisted on. That's crazy. And then when you look at how they ended the game, 33 assists on 42 made baskets, only 9 baskets not being assisted on. That's how you move the ball around. That 30 assist number in the NBA is real for both the Bulls and for other teams when they're able to get to that. And, I got to give my, like I said, hats off. I got to give credit to the Sacramento Kings for how they performed in this game. Outside of Coby, though, DeMar with 24 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals from DeMar. Vooch had 24 and 12 and 3 assists. And then you had Ayo Dosunmu also with 18 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. He also made 3 3-pointers. Ayo's balling out right now for the Chicago Bulls. Since he's been kind of forced to move into that starting lineup, he's been giving the Bulls really, really good production. And I got to give Ayo credit for that. Outside of that, Caruso with 7 points. We didn't have anybody score off double digits off the bench. You look at the best bench performer was Torrey Craig with 5 points. Shout out to Torrey Craig, leading the Bulls in scoring off the bench in his first game back. Only 14 minutes played. Drum played 14 minutes, had 2 points, 8 rebounds in that time, but nothing remarkable coming off the bench at all in this game. Julian Phillips in 13 minutes had 5 fouls, so that's why you saw his minutes kind of dwindle down as well down the stretch of this game. And hopefully the Bulls learn the right things from this game and kind of move on. They got to play a full 48 minutes of defense. Like I said, I can understand the offense being up and down, but if you consistently give that effort on defense, to go around screens, things like that, it's going to really help put yourself in a better situation. And so while the third quarter isn't what killed the Bulls in this game, the first half did. And so you make those quarters, at least one of those quarters in the first half closer, you're talking about being more in this game down the stretch of it. So, that's something the Bulls got to learn from it. But one thing we learned as a fan base yesterday is Zach LaVine is going to be out for the remainder of the season. Him and his camp did elect to have season-ending surgery, which has now put up a spotlight on a lot of Bulls fans asking, was this a ploy by Zach LaVine and his management group to keep him from necessarily going to the Detroit Pistons? And listen, I'm a conspiracy theorist all the way. No, make no mistake about it. In life, in sports, in everything, I am definitely a conspiracy theorist. And here's what I'll say on that. I'm not saying that Zach and his camp didn't elect to have the surgery maybe to avoid having a trade to the Detroit Pistons. But if they are hoping now that means that a team's going to pivot and they're going to go to a different team in the offseason, to me, this did nothing but almost guarantee that Zach LaVine is going to be with the Bulls at the very least next year's trade deadline. Now, a team could trade for Zach LaVine in the offseason. His rehab, him being out up to 6 months, that would put him coming back around July, which is enough time before training camp. We've seen players traded close to training camp before. Dame is one of them that was traded pretty close to training camp opening. So there's definitely a possibility that happens. Now, what I'll say, though, is that with Zach LaVine, one of the knocks on him already being he's injury prone, having a season-ending surgery in the same season where you've had 2 times where you've been out with injury for an extended amount of time, that's another question there. And I don't know if a team, even in this upcoming offseason, takes a risk on Zach LaVine without seeing him first come back, play for a while, stay healthy, and contribute to winning. So I think that this maybe just pushed it into next trade deadline. We're going to have a whole nother basically offseason period and start of the season to the trade deadline of Zach LaVine trade speculation. So be prepared for that. Bravo, Zach LaVine. Thank you for you and Clutch Sports for giving us another. God, I'm so tired of Zach LaVine trades. Now we got to talk about it for potentially a whole nother year. We could be at this point next year until we're talking about Zach LaVine trading. Now, maybe this is a wake-up call for Zach LaVine. Maybe Zach LaVine, whatever this team, the Bulls team, does to finish the season, if they finish strong or not, maybe he comes back, he's a part of the team winning, and eventually wants to stay here. That is a possibility as well. If Zach LaVine just wants to win, first you got to prove that you can contribute to winning. And in doing that, that may mean that the Bulls are winning at a high level, and maybe he decides to stay here, or maybe he does increase his trade value. There's a lot of possible scenarios with this. It just sucks, as I said in the emergency episode when this news dropped, that we've now gotten to this point where the season started off the way that it did. Zach LaVine shooting some of the worst splits of his career, him, DeMar, and Vooch for that matter. Then the trade rumors start and the request comes out. You then go down with injury. You come back. You don't go down again. And it ends up with you having season-ending surgery. And now we just get to keep talking about this heading into the offseason. The good thing is, once the trade deadline passes, in 4 days, I have not been so forward-looking to a period ending. Like, I'm just this serious. I'm just ready for this trade period to end. I'm tired of all the think pieces. I'm tired of all of it. I just can't wait for it to be done. And then we can just focus on basketball on the court for the rest of the season. And then we get into the offseason where it's going to start right back up. So, that's what it comes down to. But, so Zach's going to be out. This team now doesn't have to worry, ask those questions if Zach's going to be back in or back out. It allows Billy Donovan to kind of, once Patrick Williams is back, to lock in that rotation for the rest of the year. And we'll see how this Bulls continue to compete. Now, DeMar DeRozan is very confident in this team's ability to compete, and he said it in this clip here.
What's your feeling about this team's future? And Obviously, you may or may not be a part of it.
I mean, the guys that's in here compete, got the utmost confidence, faith in them that we go out there and compete with anybody. You know, we showed it. You know, it sucks that we've been plagued with so many injuries. You know, especially today hearing Zach out for the season. You know, losing Patrick for a couple of weeks. You know, it was good to get TC back tonight, but for where we at, for what we've been through, from how we started, it gives me the utmost confidence in this group of guys that, I can go out there and play against anybody. So for me, I got the utmost confidence.
And so, that thought process of this team can compete with anyone. Let's hope that continues, because this team is a team that has shown an ability to fight. It's just they need to do it consistently. They need to do it throughout all 4 quarters of a game, and that was like one of the things evident in this game. So we'll see what the Bulls can do, man. They sit right now back at 4 games below 500. Like I said, the month of February is kind of difficult for them. We face off against Minnesota Tuesday, Memphis Thursday, which, okay, that should be an easier one. The Orlando Magic on Saturday, which is going to be fun as well. So, we got 3 games coming up next week. We'll see how those games play off for the Bulls. Those are, games that I want to see if the Bulls can have a winning week. We didn't have a winning week this week. It is what it is. We went 2-1 this week. I'm sorry, 1-2 this week. So let's see if the Bulls can have a winning week. If they could win the week, we'll see what that means for the Bulls getting closer to 500 as we head towards the trade deadline. We got those games next week, and then basically we have 2 games up until the All-Star break. We have a game against the Atlanta Hawks next Monday on the 12th, and then against the Cleveland Cavaliers on the 14th, which is Valentine's Day. And then we have 8 days off. We have until we have to go back to it. So, we'll see how the Bulls use that All-Star break. No All-Stars this season. So let's see how the Bulls are going to use it, and if we can come back in that nature of being able to compete with anyone, if that holds true on the back third of this season. But, it's Sunday. It's Sunday. So that means it's Mailbag Day still. Let's go ahead and get into this first voicemail. This one is from Corey May.
Yo, what's up, man? This is Marvelous Corey May calling in. I mean, last time I called in, he was kind of rude. He was giving out insults and stuff, telling me not to call in, and what I was saying didn't make sense. But, I don't do all that social media stuff. I let that social media universe be what it is. Just in real life, people just don't insult me, but, that's neither here nor there. But last time we was talking, you were saying you didn't understand what I was saying. Derrick Rose got hurt with less than 2 minutes on the clock. He was up 12. Thibodeau played him too long because Thibodeau didn't have nobody else to lean on because Derrick Rose didn't have another running mate. That is facts. Tyrese Maxey is better than Coby White. When I was saying that it was just my opinion, you had your opinion. But now it's facts because Tyrese Maxey is an all-star. Coby White is not. So, I don't see how you don't understand that unless you just don't understand facts. But facts is facts. You don't like me, that's cool. I get that. You give me a little attitude before when I had called in about Zach LaVine not being a max player. But clearly that's facts. Because you can't trade Zach LaVine for a cup of sugar. It's just facts. I only speak on facts. And it's just facts that I'm a blue-collar worker. I do 8 hours at least, 16 when I'm trying to get extra money, which I do 2 to 3 times a week because I want extra money. I'm trying to get somewhere. But I don't play 2K. That's just facts. You was throwing that out as an insult. 2K this, 2K that. And you was doing it when we was talking about drafting. I ain't never heard nobody say, I'm going to skip these games because I'm trying to get to this draft when they play in 2K. That's about trades, not drafting. But that's neither here nor there either. If you continue to go down this path with the Bulls, they're going to be mediocre for the next 10 years. You must draft high. You must get in that top range of draft players because you want the cream of the crop, the best players. You want good, best players to develop them into superstars. The lower you pick, the harder it is to develop them into a superstar. We don't have a superstar. That's what we need. And if you're talking about building a team around Coby White, that's just idiotic. Because he's not a superstar. We ain't going to be shit. I want to say.
All right, first of all, and this is what I mean. If you're going to call yourself marvelous, at least be smart, right? At least be smart. Don't be so in your feelings. You're so in your feelings that you got cooked in something that you're just looking for something to hang on. Like, you waited until Tyrese Maxey became an all-star and then came back with a point that was already debunked. Being an all-star doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden this much better player, in part of because of where that team is and the fact that we already knew Maxey was good. And that wasn't even necessarily the question that you had. The question that you originally that we started with was that, Maxey in the most improved player. And again, Maxey already was good. And so when you look at Maxey's stats, for example, without Joel Embiid on the floor, he's averaged 21 points per game, 3.9 assists, 2.9 rebounds in 52 games. So well over a half a season's worth of data. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying that Embiid makes Maxey a good player. Not at all. He's a good player without Tyrese Maxey. I mean, without Joel Embiid. But the fact of the matter is having a player that is a true star and MVP caliber puts you in a situation where it alleviates a lot from you. Coby's doing what he's doing as the number one option on offense. And if you're going to talk about facts, then that is facts. And then also your lack of comprehension. When I bring up 2K, it's not that anybody is simming to get to the drafting 2K. Are you an idiot? It was to say that the thought process that you're putting forth happens in video games and not in a realistic manner in the reality that we live in. I don't know what you can't grasp that. Again, if you're going to be marvelous, be intelligent on top of that. And you want to talk about facts, right? Derrick Rose, you said Derrick Rose got hurt because he didn't have any help. That game was won. That game was locked in. Derrick Rose shouldn't have been on the court. So no, he didn't get hurt because he didn't have help. That injury isn't because of not having help. When you look at even the meniscus, that would have happened again. You can't say he didn't have help when he had Joakim Noah playing at a great level, Luol Deng playing at a great level. Right? What are you talking about? One of the deepest benches in the league. Just because you don't have another star next to you doesn't mean that you don't have help. Again, another idiotic comment. Don't be marvelous, be intelligent. And then let's keep it going with this. Like you don't make sense. And like I said before, and the point that you keep missing, you keep saying we should just trade everyone because that's going to get us the best talent. First of all, there has been 3 players in NBA history that have won a team that they were drafted number 1 overall by. And one of them had to leave, win a championship with another team, and then come back. What are we talking about? Yes, the talent at the top of the draft theoretically is better. But look at teams that have gone. Jimmy Butler, who has gone to the finals and pushed his team, wasn't a top pick in the draft. Jokic, who won a title, wasn't the top pick in the draft. Even Steph Curry, when you want to look at the Warriors. Yeah, he was a decent draft pick, right? But it wasn't that he was the number 1, number 5 pick. They built that team through drafting smart. Yes, you got a bigger chance of bites of the apple by drafting earlier. But the fact of the matter is, in being smart in drafting, look at, for example, at where the Bulls have drafted in history. We could have a whole different team had we gone with Walker Kessler, Tyrese Halliburton over Patrick Williams. That literally will put you in a much better situation on those alone. So again, I get what you're getting at, and I understand the mindset of let's just be bad so we have more chances at getting a good player. And Coby White, you have to build a team around somebody, right? Coby White is not going to be that piece that is the number 1 option on your team, but guess what? He can be a foundational piece. And until you get that player that is a true number 1 or a player ascends to that, you still have to build something around your team. Corey Mays, you may feel like you're marvelous, but you're not intelligent. You need to do better. And if you continue to be in your feelings about it, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, bruh. Go find you a lady. Let's go ahead and get into the next voicemail. This one's from Corn.
Hey, what's good, King, man? It's Corn, man. I want to give a shout out to Coby White, Agent Zero 2.0, man. I want to give him a shout out, man. Being the player of the month, man, that's something. The way he's been balling, man, it's been simply amazing. Had a conversation, should we build around him? I'm going to say he should be a foundation piece that we build around. I don't know if we should build around him, but he is for sure a foundation piece that we should build around. Another thing, I'm going to say something that's very unpopular because I've been sitting here thinking about it. Trade deadline is going on. We need to trade AC and Drummond. I know, and I understand. We need to trade them because their value is as high as we're going to get. I don't want us to make that same mistake that we made with Zach. If anybody a year ago to now says, if we would have made that, we would have made that next deal, they will be saying yes right now. If we could get 2 first-round picks, if we could get a second round or whatever for Drummond, make that move. Give the young guys some tick. Get rid of Javon Carter. I don't care where he go. Trade him too. And we go have Troy Gregg and Vooch. And I believe DeMar will stay. I know we go trade Zach. So, if I want to trade DeMar, but like I said, in my perfect world, the only veterans will be Vooch and Torrey Craig. And let the young man get a chance, bring up Shinobu, because now we got rid of Drummond. Bring up Julian Phillips, let them play more, let them ball more. Because we even though what they doing is great, and I know AC, you got to watch the game, it's not on the box score. But the simple fact is that he need to be on the championship team. We not on that right now. We kind of on the retooling. So if we could get, like I said, man, 2 first-round picks for AC, do it, brothers. Do it. Trade Drummond, stack up on some picks. I know it's not popular, but it is what it is. Peace, King.
All right, so I'm going to say this. This is a very unpopular opinion through Bulls fans, but I understand what Corn's getting at. If you can get 2 first-round picks for Alex, do you try to bite at that deal? There are actually some Bulls fans that agree with you. There are some that say, absolutely not. Alex Caruso is so important to this team, what he brings. And the fact of the matter is I fluctuate back and forth myself, right? So I can understand both sides. There are times where I look at what Alex Caruso brings, and I look at what other teams in the league have done when they've kind of gone completely young and not having veteran pieces, how that's really kind of held back their development. And I just like Alex Caruso as a player as well, and I kind of want to see him. Sometimes you just want to have players on your team that help build culture. And Alex Caruso is one of those players. But at the same time, considering that this team gave up so many assets to build this version of the team, I also understand the fact of recouping some of those where you can. And so it's an interesting place to sit when you kind of look at both sides of it, because both sides have their own validity. And it really comes down to then I look at the front office, right? And this front office is a front office that wants to compete. This is a front office that wants to always try to win, that doesn't really want to tank. And because of that, I think it fits with their mythology to go in there with methodology is the word that I wanted to use there. Come on. See, talking too many Corey Haize voicemails got my brain scrambled. But that is part of the reason why. So it's like it's a duality to it, right? And so we'll see what happens, man. I don't know. Does the Zach LaVine situation change anything? I don't think so. If this team was committed to keeping Alex Caruso on, and that's the value that they hold him on, I don't think Zach LaVine going down either hurts or strengthens that. I think that just their opinion on that stays the same. Now, when it comes to Drummond, I do think the Bulls may be more willing to move Drummond, even though I love Drummond on this team as well. I would love to see Drummond sign a contract extension, because it just comes down to they may look at it and say, we can get another backup center that can do something. They can't do what Andre Drummond does. Let me be clear. I don't think there's any other backup center in the league that can do exactly what Andre Drummond does, and that is he can get you a double-double. If he gets usually between 15 and 18 minutes, he's going to be able to get you a double-double. And so I don't know that there's a lot to do that. And so we'll see. And that may be what makes him valuable. So I tell you what, considering that Drum's contract is like $3.3 million, if a team calls you that's like low, I mean like one of the better teams in the league, that their draft pick's probably going to be like 28, 29, 30 in the first round, and they say, we got this for you for Drum because we need him for this championship run, I think that may be a little bit hard to turn down. But hey, I could be wrong on that. Bulls fans, let me know what you think down below. All right, let's get into this next one. This one's from AP.
Yo, what's up, Haize? This AP from Missouri. I fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? You've been my dude for a long time. I'm proud to see what you've been doing, but this is what I'm trying to bring to you. I was just thinking to myself, the Bulls got a pretty good, decent-ass backcourt in Ayo Dosunmu and Coby White. And I was thinking to myself, in 4 years, they both would be like 27, 28 years old. And KD, LeBron, like all the big name dudes that like last generation's dudes, I'll be out the league. And I say, damn, looking around the league, it's only a few backcourts that I'll say fucking with them. Like Curry and all them, Curry, Thompson, they gonna be gone. So my thing for you is, do you think the Bulls could have a top 5 backcourt in the league if they keep Ayo and Coby White together? Let me know what you think.
Can Coby and Ayo be a top 5 backcourt in the future? Bro, I'll tell you this. I haven't seen enough to say that. I think they could be damn good. But I think also what we're seeing is that when Ayo's at his best, he's not really playing in the backcourt. He's playing on the wing. So, I think that may point to him staying a bench player because he's able to do that. But I'm not here to put a cap on any player anymore. Listen, Coby White went from averaging 9 points per game to being our number one option, rightfully so, on offense. So I'm not willing to put a cap on any player. Maybe they can. We know that they do have chemistry. They developed that Ayo's rookie year when they were both coming off the bench for a stint there before Ayo moved to the starting lineup. So maybe you look at the defense, offensive nature of both those guys, the fact that Ayo, especially when he gets out in transition, is a monster. There's definitely potential for that, so I can't knock it. I don't know if I can say top 5 yet, but I definitely think that they can be a solid backcourt together. They would both have to grow a little bit more and do it consistently before I'm willing to say top 5, bro. But I understand the thought process you're coming from on that one. Let's get into this next voicemail. This one's from T'Challa.
It's your boy T'Challa the Savior. I haven't called in a minute, but I'm back. I just wanted to speak on our front office. Actually, our front office has did a really good job, actually a great job with the team that they have built. Now, as far as the injuries and then you not expecting Booch to be playing like he's playing, that's unexpected, like a fucking draft. There's nothing you can do. Now, any real front office thinking, okay, when you draft Booch before he came, the way he was doing in the playoffs and in the regular season with Orlando Magic, that dude was balling out of control. We didn't think, oh, yeah, he's going to get here and be scoring 12, 14 points, the majority of the fucking time. No, our front office has did a great job with everything. The thing is, the league is unpredictable because of the fit, the personalities, the coaching staff, all that stuff. You just don't know if it's gonna work. But as far as the system, you would think it would work, but sometimes things just don't work out. And those were the best available people on the market then with the money that we had to spend. Now, look at what we got on the market now. And look at what we had on the market last year. Everybody started screaming, trade, trade, trade. They ain't doing anything. What the fuck is on the goddamn market? It's nothing on the market. It's nothing there. Like, what, we just making a trade to make a trade? Now, this year, okay. GMs, why would you want a player who's really haven't won anything and then got a big-ass contract and all this other stuff? So, of course, a lot of people don't want to trade for Zach LaVine. I don't want him to go anyway. But the thing is, you have to put your GM hat on, your basketball executive president staff hat on. It's nothing on the market for real. So if we don't make a trade, they not a bad fucking front office. It's nothing there. That's what people don't understand. You have to look at the money. You have to look at the market. You have to look at what we need. It's nothing really there that's available. Now, people, Bulls fans, educate yourself. Go look at the market and go see what's there. You're going to find out. It's not much. We're just making a trade just to be making one. So a lot of people don't understand that type of thing. It was nothing there last year. It's really nothing available there this year. So, educate yourself, use your head. And shout out to you, brother. Keep doing your thing, Mr. Haize.
Bulls front office doing well. I get what you laid out there. I do think that some of the misses that they had, Bulls fans, rightfully so, they have the right to stick on that, especially when you look at the draft and how important when you give up draft picks it is right to get some of those draft picks right. But much like with Coby White, we didn't see until year 5 Coby being this level of player consistently, right? So maybe it can turn around for Julian Phillips, who still shows a lot of promise. Patrick Williams maybe is still only, 22, 23 years old, potentially could show even more promise. Dalen Terry isn't done yet, not even nearly. He hasn't seen him. And then we still got Ernalot Batum. We still got Adama Sanogo. They're down there in that G League as well, cooking down there. So there's maybe, the draft kind of critiques that we have on them. Maybe that fixes itself over time. Again, we would have to see that before betting on that. But this front office had misses. Now, if you're talking about the trade market specifically, which is almost exclusively what you talked about, I agree with you. You got to know what's on the market in when you're talking about trades, and you got to have a partner. And sometimes, because I tell you what, if the Bulls would have made a move at last year's trade deadline, except for that rumored Knicks trade with Zach LaVine, the Bulls would have got fleeced in most of those deals that were talked about. And so then, they made moves, but they made moves that maybe weren't the best for the team in the long run. So that's kind of the duality you got to face with that. But overall, solid voicemail. And like I said, I don't think they've been perfect. They definitely have. I don't think even you would say that. And they leave much to be desired for. But again, this team starts winning, and watch how a lot of that stuff we forget about that to a degree, right? So we'll end up seeing, man. Great voicemail, though. Thank you for leaving that. Let's get into this next one. This one's from Michael Korn.
Hey, Haize. Hope you're having a good weekend. Talking to my son, Marcus, about Ayer's game, that we both really dig his game. I love how fast he is. I actually really like his shot. We run with this 20-year-old kid who has the same shot. When you see him shoot the three, it's kind of almost like a set shot, and he's jumping. but I like those mechanics. Seems like it works for Ayo. The question I have for you is, how high do you think Ayo's ceiling is? I'd like to predict that next season, he's the Bulls starting guard. Do you think he has that ability? Anyway, Bulls play Kings tonight. I hope they kick their ass. Have a good one. Thanks, man. Bye.
How high is Ayo's ceiling? Listen, I really don't know. Every time I think I have Ayo's ceiling figured out, he plays better. Or I thought I had it figured out last year, and then he played worse. So I think Ayo has the potential to be a really good two-way player. I think at the minimum now, we're talking about a high-level role player coming off your bench. And keep in mind, when I say that, most players in the NBA are role players. You got your superstars, your stars, and just about everybody other than that are role players. So that's what I mean by that. But I do think he has definitely that potential, and I think that may be the floor for him. Now, that's if he keeps this up, but Ayo's just such a smart, and that basketball IQ is still so good for him. That defense, the physicality that he can play with at times, and now that he's not trying to be a point guard and kind of just being out there playing in transition and just being him, it really has worked well for Ayo Dosunmu. So that's my thought process on that. I know, I'm sorry I couldn't give you like, hey, this is Ayo's ceiling, but I can be a very technical thinker sometimes, Mike. But thank you for leaving that voicemail. Let's get into this last one. This one's from L.
Hey, Haize, this L, the one you always highlight, L-E-H, man. They're my initials. Hey, man, just hit you up right after I heard about the Zach LaVine getting the foot surgery. Hey, man, I may be wrong. I believe that the Bulls probably going to pull that trigger, send him out to Detroit, maybe. But, apparently, him and Rich Paul and them, looks like they just decided to go for the surgery. Whether he really hurt or not, I don't know how that go. But, I think this is more or less, an angle at which this keeps him from getting traded now and maybe in the off season, which could possibly land him in a better position, which might be a good strategy for him. But, this puts Chicago in a bad spot, man. Ain't gonna be able to move this guy. So this is a wrap. He about to ride the bench, get paid, and ain't nothing AK and them gonna be able to do. I think we probably get in play-in and probably won't get no further than what we got last season. So just let me know what you think about that, man. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's more to it. To me, I think they talked about it. He may need surgery. But I think he's pulling this right now so he doesn't land in Chicago or go somewhere where he really don't want to be. I think it's a crazy move. Maybe smart for him, but it sucks for the fans, though. But good job with your site, man. Keep doing your thing, Haize. I'll holler at you.
Zach LaVine's surgery to keep him from being traded. And I did kind of talk about this in the second segment, and I do think that some of that is real, right? But I think that it hurts him in the long run. And maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe Zach LaVine gets this surgery, teams in the offseason look around, maybe they have a little bit more cap space and they say, hey, we can kind of more easily fit this Zach LaVine thing in. Maybe, right? And I just worry that if the Bulls, especially like if the Bulls win more towards the end of the season, and then Zach LaVine's out, and because that's two knocks on Zach LaVine's that reportedly hurt his trade value, was how does he impact winning and his injury history on top of the contract. For sure, the contract's not going away though. But so I think that makes those two things kind of strengthen, right? Those concerns even greater. And so teams may want to wait, like I said, to see him come back and contribute to a Bulls team that's winning. Because I tell you what, if this Bulls team finishes the season strong without Zach, teams are going to be looking at the way the Bulls start off the season. If they don't start off the season as strong and Zach LaVine's back in the lineup, whether right or wrong, I'm not saying it's going to necessarily be 100% right, people are going to blame that on Zach LaVine being reinserted into the lineup. So you got to wait on that narrative and see how that's going to go too. But great voicemails from everyone. Thank you guys for leaving that. If you want to follow the show, make sure you do so at Bull Central Pod on every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, like you heard on today's show, number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.